Lesser artists borrow. Great artists steal. Igor Stravinsky.
You're listening to Writing Roots, brought to you by Aspen House Publishing.
Welcome to Writing Roots. I'm Lee Hull.
And I'm Lee Esses, back in the flesh.
Welcome back.
Yay!
It's very good to have her in the studio. We struggled a little bit with the first 3 episodes of this month because we rely so much on body language when we're doing this podcast to know if you're still saying something, what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. So we really struggled with that phone thing.
But we got through it, and hopefully everyone still learned something. And we are back in the flesh, regardless of the social distancing. You are still technically 6 feet away from me.
Yep, we are staying distance and we are cleaning everything done when we're done. So let's get into the topic of today's episode. Our writing crime of the day is plagiarism.
Like our opener said, it's often the case that artists take inspiration and ideas and steal from other artists. This is not just in music. Stravinsky is part of the music realm. But this is part of painting, this is part of ballet, this is part of writing, this is part of any kind of art, is you draw from life and experiences and other people in your particular medium.
So inspiration does not equal plagiarism. You can take inspiration from the work of others. You can find an author or an artist or whatever, look at their work and say, I really like that concept, I'm going to use it. It is plagiarism to take someone else's work and try to make it your own directly. About a year ago, actually, Nora Roberts sued a Brazilian writer. Her name is Cristiane Saruia, for plagiarism. And the allegations in this was that this Brazilian author took actual sentences and lines from not only Nora Roberts' books, but a bunch of different romance authors and used them in her own books. Like direct copy paste to create her novels, with basically no original ideas or original lines in her novels. So Nora Roberts sued her because she's like, I have the money to do this. I'm a very well-published author. I have the money to take on this action on behalf of all of these other authors who are also a victim of this plagiarism.
So to define plagiarism, it is a literal copy-paste, exact word-for-word version of somebody else's work and claiming it as your own. We're not talking about nonfiction when you're referencing someone else and this scientific study where they did this and that. If you are claiming it as your own, Gilderoy Lockhart, then there's a problem.
When it comes to writing something, we'll say it again, storytelling is ancient. The plots, the devices, the themes are not new. Your book is going to feel a lot like another person's book, but that doesn't matter.
We just did an episode on the hero's journey and all of the different versions that we referenced of the same story structure, but Lord of the Rings is not the same story as Harry Potter.
The wonderful thing is that inspiration, if you are creating a story, is the source of creativity. So many authors take inspiration from Tolkien. Tolkien took inspiration from history to write his novels. And then I take inspiration in Sanderson, who took inspiration in Tolkien. Like, the chain keeps going. It helps authors get better because they look at someone who already has incredible work and says, I want to be like that.
If you are concerned that you're drawing too much inspiration from one person, that it might be verging on plagiarism, expand your horizons. Read Sanderson and Tolkien and Rowling and Lewis and a whole bunch of people in the genre. Everyone will give you different ideas, but your ideas, your characters will be your own. I think it was C.S. Lewis who said that those people who are usually worried about their book feeling like everybody else's tend to be the ones who have the books that feel like everyone else's. Translation, stop worrying about it. You know if you're plagiarizing or not. If it's it kind of feels a little bit like, Let it go, make it your own, because writing selfishly is the biggest deal here.
Broaden your horizons, consume as much as you can, and take your favorite parts. I think we've used a quote at the beginning of an episode before that said, plagiarism is stealing from one person, inspiration is stealing from them all. So steal from everyone.
And I think you're going to arrive at a more human truth that way. Something deeper that they all have in common that you can voice, that no one else can.
There are a couple interesting exceptions that may on the surface look a lot like plagiarism. One of those is fan fiction, because you're using exact worlds or characters or whatever in your work, but you're changing it. You're being creative with it. That's not plagiarism. Fan fiction is a widely accepted form of writing.
You cannot make money off of other people's ideas, so I cannot make money off of the supernatural fan fiction that I want to write. Because Kripke is still out there, and there's a whole bunch of supernatural fan fiction in the world. That is still copyrighted, so I can't make money off of that, but I probably could off of Sherlock Holmes, because I don't think that's under copyright anymore.
Yeah, that's why you have a lot of Sherlock Holmes-esque writing. One of the ones that I want to look into is Sherlock Holmes Cthulhu mix there.
Oh, please. That sounds awesome.
Right? Another kind of exception here is nonfiction. When you are writing like research papers and you have direct quotes in there. But you cannot just throw quotes in there. Any college professor will dock you for copy pasting from Wikipedia. Unless you cite that it is from Wikipedia and then write like a hypothesis based on whatever it is you copy pasted.
Wikipedia is actually getting much better lately about citing their own sources, so if you do cite your sources, just say whatever Wikipedia is citing. I think that's safer than citing Wikipedia.
Yeah, go to the original source.
But we do want to mention that research, especially nonfiction, is the foundation of your story. So yes, please do your research. Please cite your sources. When I am writing my nonfiction about violence and violent characters, I am citing the VA and their list of PTSD symptoms, using their source so that my book can be accurate.
And in some cases, you will need permission. If it is an open source document, such as government documents or government websites, you can freely cite and use that. But if it's something from like a paid academic journal, you may need to at least contact the author.
So long as the person who said them or wrote them is cited, we can use a lot of quotes. You hear us at the beginning of every episode, this is a quote by Stravinsky today. One of the quotes we did not cite directly, but I think everyone kind of knew where it was a quote from Lord of the Rings, the movies. We talked about the collection of people that contributed to that quote, so we didn't have any one particular person to cite in that case, but we did mention this is not our original content. And I think anyone who's listened to more than one episode of the podcast realize we open with not our content.
Another concern that you may have is as you are writing, as you are putting your ideas out there, is being plagiarized yourself. We see this a lot on writing forums. People are worried about talking too much about their ideas because they feel like someone's going to steal that idea, that they're going to plagiarize their work because they put too much information online. If you are in the process of writing, don't worry about it. No one can write it like you can write it. Once you have finished writing and editing, copyright your work. That's how to avoid being plagiarized. And if somebody does plagiarize it, you have a legal route to take to stop that plagiarism.
We talk all the time in our writing group about what we're writing. About, oh, I'm working on this book right now and this and that. Yes, share your ideas, especially with other people who might be able to help contribute and make your idea really flourish. If you trust the people, please tell them, get your feedback. That's what having these support groups is all about.
But be careful. Don't share what you're writing because you're seeking the approval on the idea. Share because you need help with a scene or with a character's decision or with something like that. If you're seeking approval or validation, you will be disappointed and you may be discouraged from wanting to write more.
Yeah. Keeping your story yours is especially the main goal of your first draft.
But feel free to ask people for advice. Don't be so protective because you think someone's going to steal your idea.
Yeah.
To kind of wrap things up, when it comes to plagiarism, the best advice is just don't worry about it. If you're worrying that you're plagiarizing somebody else's work, you're worrying too much. As long as you're not copy and pasting, you're worrying too much. If you're worried about your work being plagiarized, you're worrying too much, especially if it's not finished yet.
Yeah. Copyright when it is finished so that the rest of the world can know this is yours. But in everything, I think you just need to
write selfishly.
If you have a question or comment for our hosts or a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email at writingroots@aspenhousepublishing.com or find us on Facebook by searching for Aspen House Publishing.